Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our study this morning. We're going to continue in our study of a unit entitled The Embraceable Mystery, God, which we've been in. We've had 8 videos, counting the introduction. Today will be the next one in the series. This one is entitled Pursued by Mystery, Psalm 139, verses 1 through 18. Now let me say, when I teach, or when anybody teaches, it appears, or it may appear, that the teacher thinks he has it all together. That since he thinks he has it all together, he should be able to tell you how to live your life because he is so ultimately qualified. Let me tell you, nothing can be further from the truth. I know no teacher that is that way. I am like you, trying to get through the day. I have the same problems and the same victories you have. At least I have problems and I have victories just like you do. It is just that my job is to bring to you what the Bible says each week. What it says on all of the lessons in the study, on each of the lessons in the study, not just the ones I feel that I have it all together on. For example, if our lesson is how to tie a fishing fly, all I have to do is read a book to figure out how to do it. I don't have to know how to do it, which I don't know how to do it. I've never tied a fishing fly in my life. I've never even been fly fishing. But regardless of whether I know how to do it, my job is to tell you what the book says about it. This study is no different. This study is from a Psalm of David. It was a psalm written by David. But we must remember that this lesson is about God, not David. It's about experience that David has had with God. And it's about an experience that God wants you to have with him as well. The lesson writer would have us believe that David was trying to run from God about something, and maybe so. It's going to look like he was running. There's no question about that. But I tend to think that David has gained some amazing reassurance of the omnipotence and the omnipresence of God in his life. We have been talking in all of these sessions that we've had about God is a mystery. We often do not understand how he acts, what his true nature is, or what he wants of us in any given situation. But there is something especially atypical about this mystery who is God. He is a mystery who actually seeks us. He pursues us. And that's what this lesson is about today. I hope you see that. I hope you learn from it. I learn from it every time I read from it. We're going to be in Psalm 139, verses 1 through 18. And these are some of the most fantastic scriptures in the entire Bible. I hope you enjoy this. We have seen prophets who were sought by God, who tried to get away from God. We saw Moses, who was tending sheep when he was sought by God. He had been, if you recall, he had been living in Egypt for 40 years as one of the elite. He left because he was running, actually, because he had murdered somebody, and he ended up tending sheep for 40 years. God pursued him all the way out there where he was tending sheep and called him to the burning bush. You've seen that. And what does he do? God has pursued him to that point. And he gave him a job he wanted him to do. And what did Moses do? He argued with him. Why me? Can't you get somebody else? I stutter. I'm running. They'll kill me if I go back there. All of those things. God pursued him to that point, wanting him to do a particular job. Then there was Jonas, who tried to run from God to a geographical location to get away from God. God continued to seek him as he sailed away to preach to a pagan people. And there was a rebellious people. We'll just call this what it is. It's a rebellious people. It was the entire northern kingdom. It's called the Israelites, only because of civil war. It wasn't the entire house of Israel. It was just 10 tribes. And God sent Jesus to redeem them. When they were not looking for God, God sought them, and he is still seeking them. Then the book of Hosea in chapter 11, verse 2, is about those very people. And in that verse, I think it was chapter 11, 2, it says that God says, the more I called, the further away they went from me. God even went so far as to say they forgot about him. They were running from him. They didn't see any purpose for God. They had gone into spiritual infidelity, into apostasy of the living God. They had chosen to follow idols. Okay, God continued to pursue them. Today, David actually seems consoled that he cannot run from the one who pursues him. He seems happy about it, and I got to agree with him. When I read Psalm 139, I am awed by God. I am humbled beyond the ordinary definition of humility. I'm just trying to say it gives new meaning to the word humility. So let's get on into the scripture. We're going to talk about the first 6 verses of chapter 139, Psalm 139, and I've called it God who knows us. Let me read those 6 verses. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. Before I go on with my reading, in case I forget, because this didn't make it into my notes for some reason, but he says, you have searched me, Lord. Do you remember what the word Lord stands for in Hebrew? It means Yahweh or Jehovah, and it's the name used when God is looking for relationship with his people. It's the name for the covenant. It's the covenant name of God, and it's when he is used when he is searching for relationship with his people. So now see if you don't see that when we read through this. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I arise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? It sounded like he's running. Can I go up to the heavens? You are there. Make my bed in the depths? You are there. If I arise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark for you. The night will shine like the day, for the darkness is as light. In verse 13, for you created my inmost being. Pay attention here. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My name was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. In verse 17, how precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. In verse 18, were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. Oh, let's go back to verse 1. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You. All right, it was Lord. Remember, it's the covenant name. It does not sound like he was looking for a relationship. He's conversing with David, or David is conversing with him. God has pursued him to this point. And he when we say you, we're talking about God. David says you God. Not a friend, not a spouse, but God, the omnipotent, omnipresent God, searched. He searched me. He looked into my kidney. He looked into my heart. He looked into my inmost being. And he knows me. You know me. I totally understand who I am and who I'm about. We will see what this really means. Running from God can mean resisting something he wants you to do, or it can mean ignoring him. It can mean saying to him, not what you want, God, but what I want. It can mean, I don't need you. All of that is running from God. But one day you may realize that while you thought you had successfully hidden from God or successfully rejected him, you find out that he has always been there. That though he is a mystery, he still has pursued you. He has pursued you. Okay, verse 2. Let's read that again. You searched me and you know me. Verse 2 says, you know when I sit and when I arise. You perceive. You know, you perceive my thoughts from afar. If I sit down, if I stand up. The last part of the verse says, if you perceive my thoughts. What are they? You know what they are. Whatever I have, you understand. Whatever I have said, you understand. Verse 3 says, you discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways. You discern my travels and my rest. You know all of my ways. You're familiar with all of my ways, which means you're familiar with my habits. You know my ways. You're familiar with them. And you pursue me anyway. Verse 4 says, before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. Uh-oh. Seems obvious. The tongue is actually the brain. That's what I'm talking about. The Bible says from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What is in your heart is what you're going to say. That's what he's familiar with. He's familiar with the tongue. It said, before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely. You know what I'm thinking. You know what I'm going to say. Then verse 5 says, you hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. You placed your hand upon me. Did you know he would provide protection for you? Maybe he provided protection and you didn't even know that you were being protected. There's that possibility, even sometimes an inevitability, and it's the only way to explain it. You can look at verse 6. It says, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to explain. God is a mystery. He is beyond us. We have finite minds. He is infinite. We cannot fully comprehend him, for he is a mystery, but he reveals what he wants us to know about him, but never completely. He provides a progressive revelation of what he wants to know. We know certain things about him, then we walk with him, and we are convicted of things. We understand more of him as we go along. He's revealing more to us. You can't find a book anywhere that tells everything about God. You can't find a series of books anywhere that tells you everything about God. He provides revelation to us as we continue to walk with him. He is beyond time and space, and he understands and knows everything about us. That's amazing. Before we speak, before we think, before we go, he knows what we're going to say, what we're thinking, where we're going to go, and why we're going to go. That is why he is awesome and worthy of our worship of him. Are you getting this idea that this is about God, not about David? David has come to a realization about God, and he is telling us about how God is. We should come to the same revelation and the same understanding. All right, let's go to verses 7 through 10. Let me read those 3 verses. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? It's sounding like he's running, but I think he's already run is what we're talking about. He's already run. He's already been pursued. He's already been found. He's already given in. And he's telling us what he has realized from that experience. Verse 7, if I go to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, in verse 10, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. He is everywhere. He is everywhere. People have not always known that. Ancient people thought he was on mountains, not valleys. The Greeks' gods were geographic and territorial. They would have a god that was over this area or over this characteristic, but that was all they could do. Couldn't get outside of the bounds. Maybe they would be in charge of Dallas County. They could only have their authority and their power would go to the county line, and that was it. The Jews had Mount Sinai, and they put the temple on Mount Zion because God was there. God chose that mountain for himself. Jonah, though he could flee from God by ship as if he could leave God standing on the deck. He thought he could just get on a boat and sail away. And it's important to know that the prophets did not know everything about God. They, like us, were in the midst of a progressive revelation. They were told what to tell the people. And those prophets had their own problems, just like we do, just like everybody else does. But God chose them for a purpose. He pursued them. It's a good time for the question. If we can get away from him, why would we, if we can get away from him, why do we run from him? If we can't get away from him, why do we run from him? The answer is we don't run, we choose to ignore him. That is the point. Are we really running? You can get in a situation where you have a very unfortunate experience in your life. Loss of a spouse to death, loss of a child to death, loss of a child to drugs, divorce, financial setbacks, and we've talked about it. You can blame God, and what you have to do is work your way through it. Some people, you have to make a decision sooner or later. When you come out on the other side, not only death, I mean the other side of the problem and the stuff you're having to deal with, you have to decide God was in it. I understand he has my best interest at heart. Or you can say, I don't want anything to do with a God like that. That is where you begin to run. If you were a believer when this disaster struck, whatever it was, and you chose to say, I don't want to have any part of a God like that, you are running. Your heart can get so hard. It can be even something as a teenager or as a young adult where you just decided, I don't see any purpose to this thing called Christianity or this thing called God or godliness. I'd rather live my life for fun. You can make that decision. You can go party. You can have fun. You can do all these things. And the longer you do that, the harder your heart gets. The harder it is for God to crack, to get to you as he pursues you. But sooner or later, he will pursue you long enough where you may just open the door just a little bit and let him in. And you'll realize that you are running from God, and know everywhere you went, he was there. David found him everywhere he went. Everything he tried to do, everything he thought, everything he said, he realized God was in all of that. Okay, he says, let me read verse 7 again. Verse 7 is a key verse, but it's rhetorical. Let's read it. Verse 7 says, Where can I hide from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? What is the answer? You can't. You can only ignore. If you can't run from it. All you can do is ignore it. Everywhere you go, he's going to be there. Verse 8 says, if I go to the heavens, you're there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. Heaven, you're there. In Sheol, from the Jewish perspective, the bed in the depths would be the place of the dead, which is Sheol. If I go there, even, it's not hell, it's Sheol. If I go there, you're even there. I can't go anywhere that you're not. And then verse 9 says, if I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, if I rise up and look to the east, that's the wings of the dawn. Or if I settle on the far side of the sea, that's the far side from the Jewish perspective, that's the far side of the Mediterranean Sea. That's the west. You are there. You're there in the east when I look that direction. You're there in the west when I look that direction. And then verse 10 says, even there, your hand will guide me. Your hand will hold me fast. Your right hand will hold me fast. That's a little bitty detail that we tend to read over. That's the strong hand of God. Your hand will lead me. Even when I don't know it, even when I didn't ask for it, God can be there pursuing you, leading you, protecting you, watching after you. And he does it with his right hand, the strong hand. He will hold you safe. Okay, that brings us to another set of verses, 11 and 12, where he can penetrate the darkness. Let's read 11 and 12. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light becomes night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as a light. You can be standing in daylight and say, I'm going to wait till it gets dark. I'm going to wait till nighttime gets here. Then I can hide from God. What does this say? The night will even shine like the day. It's going to be like what they call it, night vision binoculars. When it gets dark, you got those on, you can still see. God wears them all the time. It doesn't matter if it's dark or light. He can see what's going on. Revelation even says in the New Jerusalem, there's no need for the sun because the glory of God provides the light. He is light. You can't hide in the darkness to get away from something that is the source of light. So let's go on to the next set of verses, which is verses 13 through 18. God knows us better than we know ourselves. Let me read 13 through 18. For you create, these are the verses where I came to know that abortion is wrong and where life begins. It doesn't begin with a heartbeat. It's well underway before the heartbeat is evident. Now let's read 13 through 18. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book. There ain't any mention of a heartbeat here. We're talking about a living soul that's being created before one of them came to be. In verse 17, how precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Then verse 18, were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am with you. Verse 13 to 15, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. That's the creation process. That's the procreative process. God created our soul before the heartbeat. Life begins at conception. God created our body. This is why abortion is ungodly. The procreation process is already underway. His involvement shows his love for us. God created my soul before the heartbeat. He created and this was why abortion is ungodly. The procreation process begins before the heartbeat. Okay, his involvement shows his love and care for us. All right, verse 16. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. He had a plan for our lives, but look what it says there. He saw our unformed body when we were one cell. And then it split, it divided, and there were two cells. He saw us then. And even at that time, even before that time, he had a plan for us. And it says all the days of our life were written in his book, even before one of them came to be. Verse 17 and 18, let me read them again. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. His thoughts are too complex to understand, yet he understands us. Just think about all of the things in this world. Just go back to Genesis 1:1. In the beginnings, God created the heavens and the earth and all of the stuff that goes with that. How did he do that? You can never ask how with God. You can't ask why with God. you just have to accept the fact that he is infinite. He is too complex to be completely understood, and we can never understand how he does things. We just know that he does. Okay. Our Father who is in heaven, our Father who is in the valley, our Father who is on the mountaintop, how lofty are his ways, how deep and complex are his thoughts. How can we ever hope to understand him? Never completely. We just have to accept that. We can only hope to know that he loves us and that he has a plan for our lives. He forgives us when we fail him. He forgives us when we futilely run from him. He forgives us when we ignore him. He turns down the volume of the still small voice telling us what is right and what he expects from us. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for studying with me.